It is Timothy Castagny who has to trudge forward again. None of these players would have expected to even have to take a penalty, let alone two here tonight. And it's the
honestly incredible.
It's the right back Castagny now with the penalty for Fulham. He hits it over the top this time. He misses the target, and the door is ajar again for North End to wrap up this penalty shootout. And it's Ryan Ledson, who scored in the first half, who now has the chance to put North End's 16th penalty of this incredible shootout to bed and get North End's passage in the fourth round secure. Ryan Ledson now with the opportunity to win it. Here he comes, and he scores, and he's done it! And finally, in this epic penalty shootout, North End have their way.
That's 16-15 for you. And that's also opening kickoff. Figured we'd go kind of cold opening this morning. So that is opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee. KickoffCoffeeCO.com. That's your QR code for those of you who are watching on the video side of things. And for those of you just kind of listening, you can always go to Kickoff Coffee and KickoffCoffeeCO.com. Hit the QR code, get you through. When you check out, don't forget to use the code SOCCERDOWNHERE15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10%. Reinvest it in youth games, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and KickoffCoffeeCO.com. Yeah, because that's how stacked we are this morning. I kind of had to jam the cold open up to the front and have it be opening kickoff. And what'd you think of the new little open deal that Nick has put together? What'd you think of that?
I like that. That was different.
And
Also change of pace.
Yes, and so that's like the now forever together WWE intro. So that's where we are. Nick put that together. Sophia took the stills, and they pieced it together, and that's what you get now leading into the bass dropping every single day. All right, the show is justifiably stacked. It's a midweek whip around. Patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully, rather than later. I apologize for 906. Jarrett and I were talking about old hockey teams and new hockey teams and old owners and new owners.
We were just about to discuss the merits of Dean Sylvester in the early Atlanta Thrashers era.
Yes! And so, yeah, I showed Jarrett that I broke out my Atlanta Fire Ants t-shirt this morning from Roller Hockey International. How many of you remember that? Show of hands. That's what I thought. Richard Adler, the owner of the Atlanta Knights, was looking for something to fill the arena during the summer months. And so that's where Roller Hockey International came in. He could still pay his players the same under the contract. It's just that they had to go indoors and be on roller skates and try to go up against the guys like Nick Fotiu and the New Jersey Rollin' Rockers, those kinds of franchises. So, broke out my RHI Atlanta Fire Ants t-shirt this morning. So that's where we are. Tyler's joining us in about 5 minutes. And we'll discuss Atlanta United, Messi and friends, and anything else that comes to mind in hour number one. Hour number two, if they can, the busiest man in the Northeast, Dylan Butler, where we get to talk about the new part owner of Dylan Butler Estates and NYCFC. Possibly Marion Crowder to discuss what's going on in the USL Super League, plus what's going on in the Southeastern Conference. And the bat signal is always out for Nick and for Jason as we get ready for Atlanta United and Messi and friends tonight. My gut tells me, Jared, it's probably going to be more and friends than it will be Messi than anything else, considering what happened against Rich on the weekend in the win against Philadelphia.
Yeah, well, I mean, we got to see. You got to face whoever lines up there. You've beaten them with Messi. You've beaten them without Messi. You've gotten slapped around by them. More importantly, for Atlanta, they just got to actually show up. That's step one.
Yes. Showing up would be a good thing. And so, obviously, we'll get Tyler's thoughts. We'll get your thoughts. And we'll get everybody's thoughts on what's going to happen tonight. And once again, it's a midweek whip around. So that means we got to go over all the other juice boxes and the other matchups that are surrounding Atlanta United as they're hovering to hop into the playoffs in the 8-9. And we'll see what happens in this matchup as they get through this one, get through this one first, and then starting tomorrow with Reaction Thursday and the Power Hour and then weekend whip around on Friday, where we get ready for Atlanta United and Red Bulls. It's fast and furious, so everybody strap in and figure out what you want to discuss with all of it. What do you mean, Del? What do you mean, fans or players?
Hey, when I was talking about showing up, I think that's not about players. Players got to show up.
Yes,
players actually have to show up and act like it matters.
Yes.
And show some fight, because questions abound after Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like we can rehash that. I don't really care. You just can't have that performance against a team that was mostly dead, and you came out like you were gonna walk it, and they came out like they learned fight, and you didn't. You for some reason took third and fourth gear out of the car.
Yeah, you put the golf tee back. You put the governor back in the golf cart for those teams.
Yeah. So Atlanta, the players, I mean, fans will show up. And look, it's going to be a mixed crowd tonight. I'm sure we'll get the complaints that we usually get from Falcons games, where it's like, it's a Steelers home game down here in Atlanta, or a Cowboys home game. You're probably going to get some of that tonight, because people are going to go on their pilgrimage to see Messi.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. It's happened everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? People are going to sell their tickets if they can make a mint on it.
Yeah.
That's what they'll do.
Yeah. It's just how it runs.
Yeah.
Speaking of pilgrimage, Tyler's here.
Howdy. I like that.
What's in the mug, by the way?
Straight like breakfast roast coffee this morning.
Okay. And what is said mug? Are you PS? You are PIMP.
I am. Yep.
I
don't know if I would call this the pimp cup, but
no, it's what you are promoting, sir.
Yes.
It is a straight up promotion for the Scarves in Spikes mug that you can get at their location and their store and all of their social media that have the links that you can click to and click through, so you can wear
and you can go watch them before the game.
That is yes, that is true. Go ahead and get the plug going.
Great, y'all are doing all the promos for me this morning.
We'll dial it up early because we got other stuff to talk. We got all the stuff to talk about. We'll get the promos out of the way. So you and the cast of thousands are at the Hotel Signia across the Home Depot backyard. Yes.
Yeah, we'll be there kicking it off at 5:30 up at the Nest on 4 bar, and I'll probably be drinking a mojito as we do. Mojitos are good there. So go get you one. And they have really good steak frites. So I'll throw that out there too. I had that last time. It was really good. So we'll be there at 5:30. We now know that at least Messi will travel. So yay, I guess. But y'all come hang out with us. It'll be a good time. We'll go for about an hour. So plenty of time for everybody to get over to the bins and get in your seat. And then watch John also up on the Halo board as well. And then
30-foot head.
Yeah. But and then one other thing too, Monday we are starting kind of an MLS Monday type show. It'll be added on to what we normally do with Atlanta United on Monday, but we're going to be bringing on some different podcasters and folks from just around the league, talking about whatever happens the weekend before, the weekend prior. So that'll be kind of kicking off a little bit more on Monday as well.
So he buries the league. Program expansion at Scarves and Spikes. I see you working. I see you working. I mean, come on now. You buried the lead. You're expanding your programming grid. Come on now, man.
Yeah. It's been a busy 2.5 minutes since I've been on the show.
Yeah.
On a roll.
I mean, yeah, so let's see how you can keep up with fifth gear. Just basically slamming the car into fifth gear as we get on here. Because that exactly. Well, sir, I will go. Yeah, I'll go like that. Since I've never been a fan of the brown flavored water, but let me.
Nectar of the gods.
As you that's on your particular perspective, sir. I will go with the Pepsi product that has been all over the place and keeping people awake, allegedly.
Are you doing like the what was it, the Coke Zero Oreo flavor thing too?
Oh, good Lord, no. Well, first and foremost, that would be a Mike Conti question because he is the Coke Zero Aficionado. To be honest, I can't remember the last time that I crossed the streams and went from the P product to the C product. I really don't. I cannot remember.
Very weird for somebody who was born in Rio. They went to school here.
Yeah,
no, that's just wrong.
Hey, it's more sugar, and that's less bite. Look, they lost me when they went to New Coke and said it was New Coke when actually it was sugar versus a sucrose fructose remix, and they were a bunch of fibbers to me.
Wasn't that like 40 years ago?
True. That shows you how old I am. So yeah, they lost me then, and they have not gotten me back. But when it comes to the thought pattern of the folks that hang out with you, whether it is you, Sid, Tommy, guests, and those that drift into your Twitch pitch. What has been the feedback that you've been getting since the Nashville clunker leading into Messi and Friends? What have been the prevailing thoughts of the folks that have been hanging out with you on the night side after us on the day side?
Mainly that Atlanta didn't deserve to win, and they kind of don't deserve to make the playoffs at this point. Not that they're not, hoping for it regardless, but it's one of those things where you go and you put out a performance like you did on Saturday. And, we all saw how Rob was after the match. He was
dropping an F-bomb in the post game.
Quite unhappy. But I think it pretty well reflected the fan base. So, I mean, there's still, it sucks because there's that apathy. That apathy's been there for, I think, really since the summer transfer window, maybe since the Santos Laguna game. And look, it's time to get on the soccer down here. But
at 9 your phone is 4 minutes late.
It was on snooze, so that's the second time it snoozed. So look, I was actually early. Thank
That's what
you.
I'm saying. You were early. You were early, and your phone was 4 minutes late.
Yeah, that's where my life is at right now. Okay.
All right.
No, but yeah, it was very much a sense of apathy and like just frustration. I mean, we have people coming into our version of the Twitch pitch, and they're like, man, what are we going to do in the off season? That's where everybody's at. They just want to get to the off season. They want to get to what changes are going to be made to this organization that are going to make it better, because nobody's necessarily coming out specifically and saying it, except for maybe Sydney. Sydney kind of hinted at it the other day, but he said, it feels like the team kind of phoned it in. And we know they don't go out there and just not put forth effort. I think anybody that says that is absolutely wrong. But you can go out there and try to drive a square peg in a round hole all you want to, like they did against Nashville, and it does kind of look like you're not trying. And so Saturday was just one of those days. It was a really frustrating one. You had everything going for you, and then you came out 10 minutes, came out flat. Brad Guzan had to save you in the first 3 minutes, and then he couldn't save you in the first 5 minutes. So that just set the tone for the night, unfortunately.
Jarrett with Tyler on his weekly Wednesday visit.
So what do you consider to be the proper or an acceptable reaction to tonight? Or for tonight, I should say.
For tonight, I mean, if Atlanta were to go out there and win tonight, obviously you're going to celebrate it, obviously. But you kind of put yourself back where you started, because you beat Charlotte, and I think a draw in that game would have been cool, but you beat Charlotte, had a 2-week break, then you go up against Nashville, who has an awful run of form at home, and you don't do anything. And so that could have been the beginning of a 2-game streak, right? And you don't handle business. So then if you do somehow win against Miami tonight, you're kind of back where you started, but then you have to go on the road. It doesn't get easier from here. You find a way to fiddle around and screw up your games that you probably should win, and then somehow you go and beat Miami and Fort Lauderdale, or Columbus here at home. Like, you just have this weird way of going about, playing to the level of your opponent. And so, yeah, there's a chance that Atlanta could come out tonight and play Miami to another 5-2 game because they just have that weird way of playing up or down to the level. But I mean, for what I said on our show was a 2-2 draw, 2 for Atlanta because they're kind of playing for a little bit of pride and for Rob Valentino to not scream at them again. And Miami 2 because it's Miami and they're going to score 2 goals at least with Messi there, I imagine.
One of the things that I wanted to discuss with everybody yesterday was what you were discussing on the night side. The idea of, well, don't deserve to be in the playoffs, et cetera, et cetera. And there are fans that will either watch either one of our programs or watch both. And we encourage that you watch both because your experience becomes immersive at that point. It is nonstop. That if you don't deserve to be in the playoffs, go ahead, play the kids, go, all the touchstones. Play the kids. I don't want to be in the playoffs, those kinds of things. And I wanted to know yesterday, and I'll go ahead and reposit the question today because, viewership and listenership is different. I wanted to know where that mindset came from of not wanting to go into a postseason. Because for me, as someone who is a Los Angeles Kings fan, tried and true, hand over the heart, other hand in the air, 2012 Stanley Cup playoffs, you go in as an 8 seed, you smash folks, you get a goalie who's on a heater of all heaters, you win the whole thing. So I have never been one to hold back when it comes to a team and sit there and go, no, I don't want to go into a postseason. The draft is not something that is readily going to help you if you are there in the in-betweens, right there on the edges. The 13-14 selection may not necessarily help you in the immediate. So why not go ahead, dive into the deep end of the pool, make the playoffs, treat it like a college football bowl game where you get those extra practices, where you get those extra reps, you get that extra activity, and you get to give yourself more of a knowledge base if you're the front office and sit there and say, okay, so-and-so is really throwing themselves into it. So-and-so is, so-and-so is, so-and-so is. And that way you get more empirical evidence that can help you going forward. Were you getting that same kind of feedback when it came to, well, I don't want to go in because XYZ, just whatever? Were you getting those same kinds of yin and yang when it came to coming in? Yeah, I want more practices. I want to see folks, or just like, nope, don't worry about it. Was it one extreme or the other?
Yeah, it's definitely like one. There's a line and there's nobody on the line. Everybody's on one side of it, and I think, right now, again, the apathy has crept in, which I hate that. It sucks, but I also completely understand it.
And that's and being in the middle and having apathy is worse than the other extremes. You either want very good or very bad. The fact that the middle,
lukewarm sucks.
Yeah, lukewarm. You're just kind of like, because it doesn't help you with a soda, doesn't help you with coffee, doesn't help you with your favorite drink or your favorite food. It's just there.
Terrible bathwater.
Yeah,
all of it. It's just terrible. Yeah. I mean, I think the one side of it, playing to try to get into the playoffs, and I still contend and always will, because of what you said. You don't get anything for sucking. You really don't. So go make it into the playoffs in the version that MLS has this year, because we don't know what it could be next year.
Right.
Go get in because you can. And then just see what happens. See what happens. Give your fans something to fight for, something to be excited about. I mean, you haven't shown them a lot because you've been so flip-floppy, but it's anybody's game once you get into the playoffs. The other side is, I think, why so many folks are just like, man, let's look to 2025. And that's not to say they've given up entirely, but I think people are just ready for the page to turn. And I think that comes from, there are so many changes in this organization right now, from the team all the way up, that I think people are looking at the end of the season as, well, whatever we do then anyway isn't going to matter much in the grand scheme of things, because half the squad and probably a new head coach and a new, technical director are all going to be in place, maybe, and designated players. going into 2025. So in the next, 5 months, you could have a ton of new faces. So, this squad could go out there and maybe make a little run into the playoffs. But then what? Most of them are going to end up getting, shuffled around. You'll keep some, maybe some are going to be on the way out. You're going to bring in new guys. And so that extra little bit doesn't really do much for the chemistry overall of the team going into preseason of next year. Not saying that's right or wrong, but I think that's kind of where the people that I've talked to, that's their mindset.
Jarrett with Tyler here on Wall Pass Wednesday. Go for it.
Yeah, and looking at we can talk about all the changes that might come, and we can get really deep into this in the postseason or in the offseason, excuse me, when we really dig our hands down into the clay of change. But let's talk about tonight, because you don't have Shande Silva, who Rob touched on that he's been dealing with a foot injury. And honestly makes a lot of sense for a lot of Shande as I kind of gesture towards everything for 2024, if it's kind of been a general injury. But what are you doing tonight if you're lining this up knowing you don't have him?
I mean, obviously Tyler Wolff and Edwin Mosquera are two of the main choices, but I would love to see Luke Brennan get some time. I would love to see Luke Brennan get some time. And if you saw me the other night on our show, I was very much, and that was the other thing that you asked earlier that I didn't say, play the kids. Like, play the kids because they're hungry. They're going to want it. And this past game kind of felt like one of those games where, and Rob kind of implied, like, the team just didn't want it. And that's a motivational thing. That's something that they've got to figure out. And not saying that that's necessarily true. I don't think you can be a professional in this organization and not want to go win, but it sure looked like it.
Yeah.
So put out the players that are going to give you 110% every time, and that is the Luke Brennans. I will say the Edwin Mosqueras, because he doesn't get a lot of playing time, and he's hungry as well. All the guys that we've seen, the Efrains and Noah Cobbs, all the young guys that are coming up that have had phenomenal years in the short time that they've played, give them an opportunity. Now, being practical, I think you're going to see Edwin Mosquera start, and I would like to see the mischievousness. What's the word?
Just mischief.
Yeah, the mischief of Luke Brennan.
Yeah,
I would like to see that. Because I just think with Miami's back line, with their defense, with the potential friend of ours that he might be going up against on that side, if he does play on the left, I just think his play style is going to fit getting around and getting in behind. Add in the fact that you don't have, one of the world's best midfielders, even though he hasn't been great against Atlanta. I just think it fits a Luke Brennan kind of guy. So that's what I would like to see. 60th, 65th minute, bring in fresh legs and let it be Luke.
So run like hell at the left-hand side, have him go chasing shadows, and then when you hit 60th minute, tag out and have him continue to chase shadows for another 30 minutes.
Yeah, except these shadows do a lot of dribbly stuff and go sideways and then vertical.
A lot of dribbly stuff. Yeah, that is the official soccer term. It is a lot.
Yes, it is.
No Avalos, no Busquets, because of red card accumulation, and then you wonder, and we talked about it earlier in the week. A lot of the folks that are making this trip as a part of the 3 matches in 8 days for Messi and friends played 80 or north of 80 against Philadelphia. So you wonder about availability tonight. How many minutes? Is it a cameo? Do they run out? Those kinds of things. And this is where I think the Palace intrigue sets in. Yes, I know it's supposed to be a full house tonight at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but how much rotation does Tata Martino put out there, considering all the minutes that the starting 11 had against Philadelphia in a win there, where you've got to win against Philly. You're chasing after the number 4 team in the Eastern Conference on the weekend. You're 10 points clear. You have a little breathing room. I legitimately wonder what it's going to look like for Messi and friends tonight, just because of all of these different factors that we talk about. All the minutes played on the weekend, dudes that are missing, and playing NYC on the weekend and the irony of Marcelo Claure. So there's a whole lot of stuff that's in play here for me, and I will be interested to see what Tata does tonight with that lineup of his.
Yeah, I think, look, if you watched me the other night, you would know that I was quite irritated when talking about the Nashville game. And I did say, yeah, like, I think you kind of hope that Messi shows up simply because of the fact that the apathy for Atlanta has set in. All the things that we've talked about have set in. And so, you're opening the stadium up on a Wednesday anyway. MLS is. This was not Atlanta's decision necessarily.
Yeah.
It's a Wednesday game, right? The crowds, not that they've been bad. I know people are talking about, like, the crowd size and all that. Absolutely, it has diminished. I'm not at all trying to deny that. Still one of the best crowds you're going to see in MLS, period. So that being said, it's not 45,000. It's not 70,000. I think it'll be good for folks to just go into a Mercedes-Benz Stadium again that is relatively full. I think, whatever happens. I think the Atlanta fans know the kind of up and down nature of this team. So the fact that Messi is at least making the trip, I think, is good just for the overall day. I don't know that it's going to be good for the health of Atlanta United, but I also don't think that he plays much, if at all. I think he will play now that I know he's coming, because I don't know why in the world he would make the trip if he wasn't going to at least see the pitch for a few minutes. No way he plays 90. I doubt he plays even 45, because that would be a dumb coaching decision by Tata Martino. It really would. I mean, you played him 90 this past weekend. You're on a 3-day or a 3-game kind of run, just like Atlanta is, but you are in the top of the standings and you can afford to play anybody else, because anybody else has still gotten you points. It's not like, a lot of other teams that as soon as you take that prime starting 11 off the pitch, then things start to drop. Miami has gotten points this year when not playing, Messi and all of his buddies, or at least most of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think Messi will get a cameo appearance. Everybody else, Suarez, I think, unless any news has popped up that I've missed, I would imagine Suarez would at least play a half. I imagine we'll see a lot of Campana. And then everybody else will just kind of be mixed in and matched as they can. But lots of rotation, absolutely. I just don't think you're going to see, the quote-unquote stars for a significant amount of time.
On the injury report listed as out for Atlanta, Shande out, Ronald Hernandez out. And the other part of this is what happened late in the match against Nashville involving Pedro Amador v. Sam Surridge. And you're hoping that Pedro Amador is okay, considering the contact that was made and him hitting the turf pretty badly.
Did you see him in the locker room?
No, I did not.
It was rough. It was bad. He genuinely looked like he got in a fight and got punched. It was, the kind of bruising, bloody kind of knot right here, and then starting to black out over. How in the world he didn't end up with an actual concussion is beyond me, but he got thwacked.
Well, the other element in this, and it's something that you and I have not had the chance to talk about, and I'm sure that it was talked about on your show and on ours, is that after that happened, that after the contact was made with Surridge, that no one short of Brad went up to the man in the middle and tried to have a discussion, and Sam Surridge is grabbing his head when there was no real contact with that part of his body. And I'm, and I understand not wanting to draw a cheap card and all those kinds of things, but I think there is a line that can be walked in that situation where Pedro Amador is your teammate. This happens to him. Sam Surridge cleans him out. It literally comes in from behind. And like I said, I'm left-handed. Surridge did it with his right. So think of this as in a mirror. Sam Surridge comes in, cleans out Amador from behind. And all you have is Brad discussing things with the referee. And disappointingly, that wasn't even taken to VAR for review about any kind of contact or any kind of card period. It was just like, yeah, okay, whatever. Surge grabs his head and he walks off after a while. That was something that I wish had taken a different amplitude after that happened to a teammate of folks with Atlanta United on Saturday night.
Yeah, the VAR thing, honestly, doesn't bother me, only because Atlanta didn't deserve to even kind of come close to winning that game the way that they played. Like, you go back to the VAR decision earlier in the game, and I mean, it was close. It was the right call ultimately, right? But Atlanta was just not doing themselves any favors. And then you have that moment happen with Pedro Almodovar, and it's like, what, like, where's the fight? Where's the backup for your brand new teammate?
Mm-hmm.
And Tommy kind of went off on a rant on this on our show the other night, but I agree. Like, it's one of those things that stood out to me because, I was on here, what was it, Friday, and all of us were on here, and Jason mentioned kind of the level-headedness of this team, which me and him have talked about. We've talked about it on here, like, and I think it's great because the team never goes up or down. They never go beyond. They never go to the valleys or the peaks with their emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime they lose a game, it's well, we're looking forward to the next one.
Yeah,
Anytime they win a game,
yourself off, go to the next. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's just kind of the overall vibe of the team the whole year. And 90% of the time, 80% of the time, whatever, that's where you have to be. But at some point, somebody needs to start losing their mind. And it doesn't need to be Brad, and it doesn't need to be Rob Valentino. You need somebody out there that, I go back to the Copa America match with the U.S. And that whole issue with cleaning out, goalkeeper, and then, slugging people 5 minutes later and getting a red card. It's just, there is a strategy to the dark arts.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. That is a game within the game.
Ask Hugo Torres about it.
Yeah, exactly. But like, you have a player do that to you in your house,
mm-hmm.
Beating you in your house,
mm-hmm.
to one of your new players that just came here in the summer, and you left this guy out alone. Not a single Atlanta United player came up and got in anybody's face. And I understand, like you said, the not wanting to get a stupid yellow. Understand that. So, like, some things are, again, it's strategy. Some things are bigger than that. You have to go up. You have to start a little dust up, if you will.
I mean, if you will. I mean, go to the 6-pack of water bottles. The Surge is getting treatment. Go to the 6-pack of water bottles that the Nashville Physios brought out. Sit there, grab the water bottle, take a bit of a swig, kind of look over, and make sure that those of us that are proficient in get our masters in lip reading for television, that we can't sit there and understand what you're saying, but peer over the edge and kind of sit there and remind somebody that we'll remember that, and then Eli's coming. So just, it can be something that's simple, but that wasn't even there.
No, and yeah, it doesn't have to be necessarily you running up and Goldberg spearing Sam Surridge.
Yeah,
I mean, I think a lot of people would have liked to have seen that. I'm sure Pedro Almodovar would have loved that, but no, you just, something needs to be said, and it needs to come from a few people. Like, put somebody on notice. Like, the day was done at that point, really, if we're being honest. Like, the day was over. Nashville had pretty much done the job, or were well on their way to doing the job. Pride. It's your teammate.
I wasn't looking for Red Wings and Avalanche. I was not looking for that. I was not looking for Claude Lemieux and Chris Draper, and then Darren McCarty waiting 371 days before, finding Claude Lemieux. I'm not looking for that. I am looking for that kind of a memory going forward, but I'm not looking for the Darren McCarty kind of event where he forces, Claude Lemieux to turtle and he goes off and goes back into the locker room. I'm not looking for that. I'm just looking for, hey, we'll remember that going forward. That's what I'm hunting for here.
Yeah. It's something other than the Atlanta United players just kind of wandering around the pitch, grabbing water and then walking off. Like, that's not what you want. That's not what you want to see. That's not what Pedro Almodovar wants to see, and I'm sure that's not what Rob Valentino wants to see. That can't be the response. It can't be the response. It's not. It's not acceptable. Like, if I was Pedro Amador and that happened to me, the moment I got back to the locker room, I would be irate with my teammates. Like, where were y'all at, man?
Yeah.
Where was the backup? Like, because it's gonna happen. Like, Sam Surge didn't do anything that every soccer player hasn't done at some point in their career. Like, it's just part of it. He just came in, little D-baggy and gave it a little bit of an extra shove.
Yeah.
It happens. The response is what you need. And that response was, everything about it was wrong, except for Brad. But it shouldn't come from Brad. Even though he's the captain, he should be in the ref's ear while the rest of the team is starting a dust up.
With what we know about who's not going to be around, you mentioned the front. On a quick turn, having to also think about Red Bulls on the weekend. What are you looking for in the midfield? What are you looking for at the back? We were discussing last time out against Messi and friends, it was a 3-5-2, 5-3-2-ish kind of a thing where you drop back to 5 defensively. Are you starting in a are you bringing the 4-3-3, having somebody like Dax be a de facto center back, drifting him back as a part of the discussion? What are you anticipating here with the midfield and the back line challenging this group as they are here on their way to New York City?
I would like to see Dax start. Excuse me. I would like to see Dax start.
Get your liquid. You got to make sure you're
I just think you're going to need a little bit more solidity in that midfield, and they don't have Busquets. And again, caveat here is Busquets has been terrible every time he's played Atlanta. It doesn't matter. Yeah. But you need to start off and not allow Miami to just open you up early. So I think you need the veteran aspect of having Dax. Stian took a cut to the cheek, but he's okay. Derek is okay. Of course, you have Luis Abram, who you might have to rely on at some point, whether you come out in a back three, or just for the sheer fact that Pedro Amador literally has like a goose egg on his left eye, I think.
Yeah. So you'd have the possibility of keeping an eye out for Luis at the left, Derek, Stian, Brooks,
yep.
Dax is your 6, drifting back in to be a third center back.
Yep. And then, this Jay Fortune, Tristan Miyamba thing has me intrigued. And the fact that Jay has more or less usurped Tristan Miyamba is interesting. But he deserves it.
Yeah. I mean,
I would like to see him come out and start again, because everybody had a bad game on Saturday. You can't pick out one person. I know everybody's kind of focused on Brooks Lennon from Saturday. He put in a bunch of bad crosses, but it wasn't just him. It was everybody. I want to see Jay get another start. He's also your lone goal scorer since the summer transfer window. So he's also, much more attack oriented, and he's had some pretty good times against Miami in the past. Like the games that he's played against them, he's done well. So, and then, of course you got to have Alexi. And on the left, I think practicality, you're going to see Edwin Mosquera start. And then I think Daniel Rios up top again. And then, of course, Saba over on the right. I kind of think that's how it plays out.
So then you're anticipating, say, Edwin Tyler, Saba Luke, Daniel Jamal in some combinations, because you have to think about tonight and you have to think about Harrison, New Jersey on the weekend.
Yeah, I think the one wild card for this kind of 3-game stretch would be Miranchuk, because you don't know what he is capable of in terms of fitness overall. Like, most number 10s around the world and in Atlanta's history have been smaller, smaller guys that they can run for days. Thiago Almada would never come off the pitch.
No.
That's just how it was.
No.
I don't know that Alexei Miranchuk is the same. So do you see, depending on the way the game is going, him come off, even if it's just 20 minutes early, and then you have to kind of do something strange there, maybe move Jay up and bring in Miyamba, whatever.
And what we've seen with Bart is there have been times where Bart has been engaged and Bart is moved forward as the attacking midfielder.
Yep.
And it turns into a 4-1-4-1. and you catch your opponent a bit off guard because they haven't really seen Atlanta in an attacking 4-1 at times, and especially with Bart being the one going forward. So, it's this dance that you're trying to figure out because, one, of who's in town, two, where you've got to be on the weekend, and three, okay, so who's healthy, who's got minutes, what can the physios tell me about who's going to be doing what, where, and when. So this is where coaches really do, and physios, they really do earn the daily wage because of having to think about not just this one, but the one coming up on the weekend.
Yeah, and it's the chess game. It's the dance, right? Because you look at the way, if everything goes the way I thought it would, and what I said earlier with Messi maybe making a cameo at the end of the game, and you don't want Dax to play 90 minutes, so your obvious choice there is to bring in Bart. However, he can't go up and play super high if Lionel Messi's on the pitch. He has to stay back home and just basically mark Messi, which is why I think Jay would be the guy. If there's one guy that has to play 90 minutes, or I would really, really be happy if he did play 90 minutes, it would be Jay. Or if Muyumba does come on, he has to be told you've got to get up a little bit more and help out either Miranchuk or whoever is coming on for Miranchuk. So you can't transition, you can't make subs in the 60th minute or 70th minute or whatever if the game is still close, and then they bring on Messi and expect everything to be the same.
Yeah. So I finally found it. There we go. Yeah. See, that's it. We got to make sure that gets played at any appropriate moment.
Absolutely.
When you look around the rest of Major League Soccer, now that we're going to be keeping an eye on a lot of stuff, because it's head on a swivel. It's a match day, and you are not. You're in the middle of a push and a hunt, and whatever words you want to use. NYC is hosting Philadelphia. Toronto is hosting Columbus at BMO, so I would probably end up taking the over in that. Orlando, and this is the goofy part. You got a free game on FS1 tonight, in addition to everything that's going on that we'll be keeping an eye on. Orlando is Charlotte allegedly at 8:15, and this is, like I said, this is the website. This is what MLSsoccer.com is telling us, 8:15. So that's probably 8:25.
Yep.
Where FS1 gets the super hyper mega pregame show. Then you start drifting. Cincinnati's on the road. Nashville is at home hosting Chicago. What other games are you going to be keeping an eye on in the Eastern Conference, knowing full well that going into tonight, you have to think about tonight and the weekend, where it is Charlotte kind of on the slow fade, where I was talking about it yesterday. I don't think they've won since like August 1st. They've won since August 1st.
They've kind of fallen off.
And so Charlotte is on the slow fade, which means that Toronto is kind of drifting further and further up. And so any team that is right now where Atlanta is, and there's a lot of them, you get on a hot streak, then you could be making things difficult in Charlotte. Charlotte at 38, Toronto at 36, DC at 33. That's the playoff bar. Atlanta's at 31, Philadelphia at 30. And literally the 6 teams that are not in the playoffs right now in the Eastern Conference, the 6 teams that are not in, 10 through 15 separated by 4 points, and you're anywhere from 2 to 6 points away from DC. So how many screens are you going to have up and running tonight, by the way?
Like 3. It's going to, between me, Sydney, and Henry and Jackson sitting there, we'll probably have everything. It'll look like, SpaceX control center.
It'll look like Hansen in NFL Red Zone. It's the Octobox.
No, yeah, I mean, I was talking about this last night with one of the Battered Herons, the Miami podcast, and the bottom of this Eastern Conference is ridiculous. I mean, if I were a neutral and I had no dog in this fight at all, the New York Philly game would be probably really fun to watch. We're at that weird point though, where because Atlanta is on the outside looking in barely, it's kind of hard to say, like, do I want this team to win or do I want it to be a draw? And, because Orlando and New York are not out of reach.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're a basically DC fan below, you're just looking to try to make it to that 7th spot, and that's reasonable. New York and Orlando, possible. Anything above that, you'd have to win out the rest of your season. So I don't know, man. I like what the results I want to be. It's really tough. It's almost like, do you want it to just be a draw and each get a point and then you win and you just kind of start trying to stack wins? Ultimately, though, any game from now on, you want DC and Toronto to lose, period. And I think you just have to hope that everybody else kind of just notches, draws, if anything, to help bump your way up the standings if you're an Atlanta fan. So, but if I was just watching another game, the Philadelphia game would be probably a good one.
The Philadelphia. I mean, look, full disclosure, look, we're all going to be watching all the other games in the Eastern Conference. I mean, there's no other way around it. It's literally how it is going to be. Look, everything from this moment forward, you're going to be just absolutely breaking everything down. There's going to be math. You're going to have your compass out. It's like the TI 92. The TI 90. Double I. You're going to be working all those kinds of combinations,
turning it upside down.
Yes, sit there. I'm gonna make words. Hey, dude, we all did it. So anybody that denies they didn't try to make words, typing out 8008 and getting a laugh.
Yeah.
Don't think we didn't do that. Don't think that we didn't remember that kind of stuff either.
Doesn't matter what age group you are.
No, and especially for those of us who still act like we're 12 on a daily basis. One more time, hit me with the promo about what's going on today, tonight, tomorrow, now, forever, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so it'll be myself, Sydney, and Henry at the Signia Hotel next to the Benz.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, no, right. If you haven't heard of it, it's the giant glass building right next to the Benz.
A large hotel structure.
Yeah, very, very, very big one. Go to the 4th floor, just walk in, go up the escalators, and we'll be right there. We'll be doing a live show starting at 5:30. Going for about an hour, so you'll have plenty of time to get inside and get your seat and get more food and whatever else. So you just come hang out with us. We're talking the game and whatever else we happen to get into. Starting I guess expanding upon what we normally do on Monday with kind of an MLS Monday. We'll just call it a wrap up where we go over just some of the bigger stories from the weekend. So that'll be part of our normal show on Monday night. And yeah, scarvesandspikes.com. And then I will say, I saw it in the Twitch pitch.
Mm-hmm.
The whole Benz is open tonight.
Oh, it's more than 42. It's like big.
Yeah, it's big. So like right now you have, there's tickets. 301, $40. Okay. 306, $37.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is going to be open, fully open.
All right, so fully open. So I thought it was just going to be the stock 42.
This was I think this is the third of the 3 ones that they were going to do this year.
Okay. So full house. So yeah, I was mistaken. It is a full house tonight that is available as the roof will be closed, or maybe not. We'll see what happens with the roof. But no, I think you want the cauldron of noise to be on top of Messi and friends, and so I think that the roof will be closed with what's going on. Save your pipes, get your morning coffee going, and obviously we will be seeing you. What are you picking on the menu? What's good on the menu that you have come across there at the Signia, by the way?
Well, so they change it periodically, but the one thing that they've had pretty much every time we've been there is the steak frite.
Okay.
Or frites, whatever how you pronounce that.
It's them steak frites.
Yeah, those things. Steak with fries. It's a genuine. It's a good steak, and I will tell you if a steak sucks, I really will. And they're not paying me to talk about their menu. I'm just telling you, like it's a really good steak. The fries are those little, almost like shoestring fries, but they give you a good pile of them.
Okay.
So yeah, that's good. And then I'm a mojito snob / aficionado, and their mojito is off the chain.
Okay.
And make a good old fashioned too.
Well, and what you do is you get the big steak to kind of neutralize the effects of said mojito and said other drinks before you wander in and get to work.
That's right.
Later tonight. All right, so we will see you indoors. We'll see you. Some will see you at the Signia. Some will see you indoors. Some will see you in both places. It's always great to have you to come on Wednesdays and break everything down from the Scarves and Spikes perspective as he sits there and continues to promote the show as he should with the hat and the coffee mug. We will see you indoors, my friend. We'll see you outdoors. Be safe. We'll see you tonight.
All right, see you. Appreciate it.
All right, there goes Tyler. And Tyler's going to go drink more coffee because I'm sure I woke him up. Yeah, I know. Steak frights in this economy. That is kind of scary. And Derek, you are absolutely correct. I didn't know calculators were good for anything else. We're always sitting there and we're trying to make words and everything. But yeah, for me, it was always the baseline of 8008. D. Graham's leaving Mosqueda on the bench. Miranchuk slides to the wing. I mean, that could be a possibility. We saw that with Thiago at times. And so does Miranchuk slide to the wing? Do you start Bart and Tristan? I mean, do you start Bart and Jay and Dax? So, I mean, it was like I said, the meat and the sandwich of the 3 matches in 8 days. It will be intriguing to see how, once again, with Messi and friends, all the minutes they played on the weekend, then who's going to be available. Once again, no Avalos, no Busquets, and then who's going to be available, considering all the minutes that they played on the weekend, and you're getting ready to play the number 4 team in the Eastern Conference, even though you have a 10-point lead. How does it look? Everybody's going to be making the trip, just who's going to dress out. So we'll see what happens with Tata Martino. So, yes, Emilio tonight is, according to Tyler, full configuration. So, like, big, 70,000. Yeah, the Campana Golasso. And Emilio asking, how long before Miranchuk asks himself, what did I just do? I left Bergamo for this. I mean, I'd give him a little more credit than that, and I would give it a little more time than just a couple of matches. I would think that part of the conversations that you have with Alexei and his agent going in is the current state of affairs. You're not going to, and besides, any player can sit there if they're being courted and recruited. If it's courted and recruiting, they can look and see what's going on. They can look and see where things are in the standings. They can see what's going on inside the league and everything. So it's not like that anyone is totally naive to a situation. No, I think that there's some patience involved. And Alex, thank you for the mischievousness. JBG. Now, what have I seen lately from Atlanta United gives you any hope they could win even if they made the playoffs? We've talked about it going up against Columbus and Messi and friends against them earlier this season. You've seen those kinds of moments. And so those would be exhibits A and B for me in that kind of a situation. And Emilio, it doesn't matter if the players are staying or if they're going or if they think they're staying or if they think they're going. He says, it also depends if you think the players are staying. They're playing for jobs. And if you're not doing well and it shows and your aura is, it's just you've got bad juju, oozing from you, for lack of a better phrase. If your bad juju is rubbing off on others and if folks can see your bad aura and you're not giving 100%, that's going to affect your paychecks down the line. So that would be the larger point in all of this. It's like you can't just sit there and not do because other teams are looking, not just here in the country, but all around. So you can't just sit there and Christmas tree and have a bad aura and all those kinds of things. Busiest man in the Northeast. It is time to transfer up there. And we'll talk about the MI6 story in his beloved Newcastle, by the way. Dylan Butler, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
We are discussing anything and everything in the midweek, the meat in the sandwich, the second match of 3 in an 8-day period. And yesterday we broke the news that Dylan Butler Estates and NYCFC have a new part owner in Marcelo Claure. 3 years to the day that he got bought out to no longer be a part of Beckham and Friends. And now he is a part of NYCFC and Dylan Butler Estates to the valuation of $1.5 billion. So it sounds like it was a $150 million investment by Marcelo Claure. You got the photo of all of the CFG folks, Claure holding up the jersey. So you got new owners holding up jerseys now with NYCFC and Dylan Butler Estates. It was an intriguing storyline yesterday where NYCFC and Dylan Butler Estates end up getting a new owner that gets his own chair added to the table as a co-vice chair. It's like, yeah, Marcelo, you want in? Okay, cool, great. Well, where am I going to sit? Oh, we'll just pull up another chair. Yeah, you just pull up another chair to the conference table here. We got glass table, glass walls. Your co-vice chair, that's fine. We'll just go ahead and bring up another chair. No worries.
Yeah, I mean, I think, what is it, 10% ownership?
Yeah, so it's 10% to Claure, 10% to the Yankees, and 80% to CFG, City Football Group.
So I'm not sure what that 10% gets you, right? Like,
I know, really.
I mean, a seat at that table for sure, but you know, I almost liken it to just a very expensive season ticket.
Well, I mean, it could very well be, considering that he's got like interest in Girona and interest in Bolivar, and now it's like he's just picking up things. It's like I'm in aisle number 4 I'm at the Wawa, you know, or at I'm at Dwayne Reed. I'm in aisle number 6, and I've got I'll take this, and I'll take this, and I'll take this, and by the way, you get to leave Dwayne Reed and you get your photo taken in the photo booth. I mean, is it legitimately? That's what it just seems like, an investment to add to what Claure is doing across all levels when it comes to what you're staring at with him and CFG's umbrella.
Yeah, part of his what do they call it in the investment world? Part of his portfolio.
Yes, part of the portfolio. Yeah. And so it's interesting, but
and a good time too to jump in. To be honest, right? Like, once we've seen it with other, not to get too like business weekly into this whole thing, but
CNBC down here.
Yeah. The teams that have their own stadium, right, and are able then to, get money off of their own stadium and not have to pay rent, like NYCFC has had to do. Mm-hmm. They're usually valued as one of the higher teams in Major League Soccer, right? So to come in now before that happens is, I think, a wise investment.
And that's what investments should be. They should be a wise investment if you are looking at things in that particular vein. Eastern Conference, it is 3 matches in 8 days. It's for everybody. It is 3 matches in 8 days. If not 9.
Almost everybody. Not for the Red Bulls.
Right, because there's, you don't have the double match week in your fantasy with them. And so please adjust your rosters appropriately.
And DC.
Yeah, because like
DC as well.
There wasn't anything last week, but they end up with stuff, this upcoming weekend. We know that the chaos is there.
Yeah.
And it's different kinds of chaos. In the Eastern Conference, it's people trying to climb over each other to get in. It's like they're trying to get on the L, and they're just climbing over the turnstiles. They're trying to climb all over each other, trying to skip paying and try to get on the train so they don't miss it. That's getting into the playoffs. And then you have some positioning, like 3, 4, 5 and that kind of stuff. Maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 and see who's fading and what have you. And then in the West, it's at the top where everybody's trying to figure out. And then like 2 through 7, 3 through 7 is an absolute mess. What's it been like for you trying to keep your brain straight with all of these different concepts that are going on here, knowing that we knew it was going to be chaotic. We just thought it was going to be kind of different chaos. In the East, it's getting in. In the West, it's trying to figure out if you can get a home match. What's it been like trying to cover all this madness?
The key is not to make definitive statements.
Yeah.
It's a lot of could be's and possibly. You couch a lot of your statements. But this is what you want, right? I mean, in a league that has so many games and is across so many months, you want the stretch drive to be meaningful for the team that you support, right? Or if you're a casual, or you watch the entire league, you you root for chaos, right? So
yes,
you want decision day to, you want to have 5 different things up in your tablet and your iPad and your everything, because you can't miss what's happening, and this result will affect 3 other teams, and but that's great, right? Like, who wants it to be already decided by the time the last 2 matches or 3 matches happen? So no, it's been great. It's been fun. It's been wild to think, especially like in the East.
mm-hmm.
I think you're seeing a little bit of a separation. Well, more than a little bit. You're seeing a separation from top 3 down, right?
Right.
And I think you're seeing a separation from 1, and then it's like 1, then 2, 3 are kind of together, and then there's a jumble for 4. Like, it appears that nobody wants that 4th home game, like, or that home game. I'm sorry, in 4th.
Yeah,
Because Charlotte and the Red Bulls and NYCFC have all had opportunities for quite a while, right? And now Orlando's like, listen, guys, if you're not going to take it, we're going to creep in here and do what we apparently do, which is look terrible for a good chunk of the season and then turn it on late, right? Like the old Seattle Sounders.
zombie Sounders, baby.
And then it's like who then gets in at the bottom, right? Like Chicago gets a win over Red Bulls, like they're not out of it. Like, I mean, I think even technically you could say New England's not out of it.
Yeah, 6 teams separated by 6. Well,
they have 2 games in hand on 9th place DC.
Yeah, so you've got the bottom 7 separated by 6 points, which is basically 2 wins, which is a hot week, and that's to get in. The bottom 7 separated by 6 points, 2 wins, and the bottom 4 just to knock on the door. You're separated by 4 points, so it is a zoo in the Eastern Conference with 2 separate groups. So let me take it piece at a time. Who is who is the team that you're looking at that is Mr. Upswing? All right, so who's the hot hand right now in the East that you're sitting there saying can make noise either in that group to get in or in that group to get to the second section?
Yeah, I think Orlando, right now they are one of the hottest, if not the hottest team in MLS right now. They were a team we were wondering, are they out? Is Pareja out? And now they appear to be the team most. See, I'm putting in the appear. They appear to be the team most likely to take that 4th spot.
Right.
Which, like if you say all the favorites then in the East win, right, and your final 4 is Miami versus Orlando and Cincy versus Columbus, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Then who's just kind of treading water right now? Who's got the floaties on and is just kind of happy to be in the pool?
Clearly the Red Bulls, right? Like they cannot get out of their own way. Like it's honestly, John, kind of mind-boggling, right? Like you go into this season and you're like, they need a 10 and they need a 9, and boom, Emil Forsberg comes out. They've got their 10, great. So in the summer, get your 9. Hello? Hello? Is there a 9 coming in here? Oh, wait, your 10 has been injured now for 3 months? So with no 10 and no 9, that math equates to not many wins.
Yeah, so this gives me the chance to do this just as kind of a reminder of what might be happening there. Just as go.
Penny.
Sheldon.
Yeah, you're looking for that.
I thought you were going Bueller with that, but it does have the same effect.
Yeah, so I mean it's just one of those things. All right, so we know who's on the upswing and who's wearing the floaties. Who's just hanging on. Traditionally, it's Oscar Pareja on the slow fade, but it looks more and more like Charlotte is doing
Yeah.
the Oscar Pereja impression right now, considering they've only won once since August 1st, I believe.
And that also doesn't define. There's no logic there either, right? Because logic would dictate when you get your highest paid players on the field, when you could finally play with 3 DPs, you should be at your best. And they've not been that. They were at their best earlier in the season, when they weren't, as Dean Smith said recently, conceding stupid goals, right? So again, I don't, like you follow this league and you're an expert, and sometimes ish doesn't make sense.
No, that is absolutely true. And when ish doesn't make sense, we bring out the bat signal to bring Nick in. So, Nick, as we tour Major League Soccer with Dylan Butler, what is on your mind this morning as we are here with Dylan?
And look, man, there's look. It's the haves and have-nots for a league that that builds itself on parity and the ability for teams to be competitive fairly quickly. It seems like there are some teams that are stuck in the have-not category and seem to be sort of cementing themselves there. And it's going to be interesting, I think, to much to what Dylan was talking about earlier, teams that had an opportunity to go get players at a particular position that was desperately needed and then elected, well, we'll just sit tight for now. Teams like the Red Bulls, teams like Atlanta, teams that sat there and kind of, hit the pause button on, maybe brought in one player and then and kind of left it at that, 1 or 2 players, and left some key areas unaddressed. It's going to be interesting to see how these teams shake out going forward, because there's this there's this business term out there called the trust thermocline, right? Where, it's so long story short, if the ocean has different levels of temperatures, right? So up to the surface, it's warm. Down below, it gets cool, and those waters really don't mix, right? Because it is like once an object gets below a certain temperature barrier, it's not coming back up. And so somebody associated with like the Harvard Business Review put together this whole flow chart that says that businesses go through the same thing, where after a period of time, the customer trust gets below what's called the trust thermocline, and it is virtually impossible to bring that trust and energy and enthusiasm back. I think teams are going to have to start making some more calculated risk when it comes to the transfer windows. And, much like the Red Bulls, much like Atlanta, say, hey, look, we need to bring in some eyeballs. We need to kind of re-energize and re-enthuse a fan base. I think there's a lot of teams right now that are kind of being very, very conservative on the spending side, and it's not benefiting them and it's not benefiting their fan bases. That's what is on my mind, good sir.
Wow. The trust thermocline. I literally have just started doing this, and Nick is like, there's no second chance to make that first impression is basically what you're staring at. You will not get a second chance to burn trust. Adam Fisher, Medium Magazine, back in 2022. So, Dylan, this is where we're going this morning on
and the waters in Montreal are shark infested, and that shark is named Joey Saputo.
Wow!
Because he is just ready. They stay below that line. Yeah, they're looking at like their 38th new coach in the last 6 years.
Well, and then you invested money in players that have turned out to be, much like Dennis Green said in his press conference, we are who we thought they were. And it's just like worst. I mean, their defense, by the way, goal difference for CF Montreal, minus 22.
Yeah, that's not the degrees. That's not in Celsius.
No. That is not even Celsius. I mean, like if the Fahrenheit goal difference were to be converted, it might be a little closer to 0. No. That is goal difference. That is flat out goal difference, not in Celsius. That is Fahrenheit at -22.
And it's not even the worst. It's not even the worst in the East.
That's bad, man.
Yes.
That is horrendous.
And the teams that are below them, not that you want to give them an out, but like Chicago, look, they're gonna have a whole new another restart, right? Right, sporting director, head coach, the whole thing. Nashville just got a new coach, right? Like New England, first year head coach, new, so all of those are different levels of a rebuild. Philly will go under. Will have a big change coming forward, right? Because they ran it back with this group, and they're below the playoff line right now. So
they ran it back.
Atlanta is currently in the middle of that too, right? So, but yeah, no, like Montreal is the one that kind of isn't, and it's not looking good.
No. See, Atlanta, is, and Philly are going to be rebuilding, right? And I think what the difference is that, well, actually, a commonality between the two, and I'm sure Jason's going to launch himself through the roof when he hears me say it, is that both teams are in the middle of having to identify a sustainable culture. Like Philly's style has been knife fight in a phone booth every game, right? Which requires a mentality. You have to have players who are 100% mentally engaged in making life hell for the other team, right?
Well, and also Nick, from a player perspective, right? Like this is a team that, they are the academy guys. They are, and then it's finding that like third division German midfielder,
yes,
below a rock that will do those. Will play that hard game for you.
Right, and from a fan perspective, we talked about that trust thermocline again. You have the one commonality I see amongst the Philly fans is that they love their team, but they understand and hate the fact that ownership will consistently choose the cheaper option as opposed to investing in players who will come in, play that aggressive style, and capture interest in eyeballs. And, as a result, you sort of get hammered into playing this particular aggressive style because you are having to make do with that third division German player who was out of the game for 4 years and, ended up going to a D3 university here stateside. Atlanta is going to have to figure out, what kind of culture they want. Is it going to be Seattle East Coast? Is it going to be, Ajax Southeast? I mean, like where everything gets fed through the academy now. And that's, you try to supplement with a few high dollar DPs to get you over the line. I mean, there's a lot of culture shifts that are taking place in MLS. Chicago, it's a revolving door of culture up there because they can't ever seem to get anything with some level of consistency. So it's, if you are a team in MLS right now that has sort of a solidified culture, you're sort of playing with house money at this point.
Nothing like talking. I did not know that we were going to go down the trust thermocline. But I mean, it's a Wall Pass Wednesday. I get it.
Look, man, I'm on like cup of coffee number 4 right now, man. So I'm like seeing galaxies and nebulas and everything else at this point.
It's amazing how they just kind of sit there and they talk to you. It's like
yes,
stars talk to you.
Speaking of the galaxy,
well, yeah. I mean, you've got
look at that segue.
Well, it's because we haven't talked about the West yet. I mean, LAG right now. By the way, in El Trafico, and that's another thing that drives Jason crazy, is saying El Trafico because he hates that. You're thinking that LAFC, they got a 2-0 lead in El Trafico, and you're like, we got it, we're under control. And then Joe Totino gets out his number 2 Ticonderoga pencil and sits there and goes, "Not so fast, my friend." 4 goals in the 4th one coming off of a red card in an 11v10 situation. And now LAG is the one that is steaming away from everybody else, But then all of a sudden, John Thorrington decides to go into the not so way back machine and bring back Carlos Vela for the home stretch. What in the blue-ish is all that about, other than maybe trying to find lightning in a bottle and knowing that you don't have to pay him but $10 and maybe an In-N-Out gift card or something for the remainder of the window?
Yeah, bring out the closer, right? Bring out the righty out of the bullpen, or the lefty because he cuts it onto his left. Yeah, if again, I think good piece of business for sure, right? Like you said, there's options there, and see what he has left. I mean, it's been a while since he's played, right? A match. So match fitness wise, I mean, the whole thing is, you love to get him. You'd love to get him going for the last maybe 2 matches of the regular season, and have this be your stretch drive. The concern, I guess, on the other side of it is, how does that mess up sort of this continuity that you have in your attacking unit, right? Like you've got guys who for 28, 27 matches have been together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you throw this into the mix. Now, but then again, what is he a super sub? Okay.
Is he Gareth Bale all over again?
Possibly. It worked then.
I mean,
well, yeah. As you get into, as you get toward the playoffs, you're going to have to win in different ways, right? So there's going to be some games where you can, playing wide open will get you the result, and then there's going to be some games where the opponent will, chuck everyone back around the 18, including the water boy, the medical assistant, and probably a third owner. And you're going to have to figure out how to break that down. And the ability now for LAFC to say, okay, we're going to put Carlos Vela at the 18 and just roam, find space, and then turn and fire. If you can call him in at like the 65th minute to say, look, go out there and give us a few, I think that's where Carlos Vela could be very helpful for them. I completely agree with Dylan, though, in that what kind of match fitness is this guy going to be in? He's certainly not somebody you can put on from minute 1 and call it good. However, 65th minute, when you got some tired legs and some space presents itself, I could think of some worse guys to have out there than Carlos Vela, even if he's at, even if he is at, maybe 30-40% of who he was.
7 points back, but they have 2 matches in hand, so there really isn't a whole lot of flinching space for LAG. But then we mentioned the chaos in the Western Conference. 2 through 7 separated by 4 points. Right now, LAFC 2 matches in hand on LAG, 48 points. Colorado Salt Lake, 47. Seattle at 46. Vancouver at 45. And I know that Nick is ready to lay down his life for Vanni Sartini at any given moment.
This is accurate.
And Houston, the Dynamo at 44. And then you get into the 8-9, and there's a little bit of space there between the 8 and the 9, which looks like it's fairly safe unless somebody just completely and totally collapses down the stretch, meaning Portland and Minnesota. So it's a different kind of chaos. But 3 through 7, it's really 2 through 7 at the moment, you cannot breathe funny right now in the Western Conference with all that activity going on.
Yeah, I think if you're Salt Lake, you're that team that's that temperature is up now, right? Like, and again, it's part of, I think it's part of the reality of this league is, and Atlanta had something similar, right? Like you get a young prospect, they play really well. There's, I think it was an 8-figure deal on the table. You've got to sell them, right? And that's what Salt Lake did with Andres Gomez. But here's the other part of it, to Nick's point, like, where's the replacement, right? Like, there hasn't been one. And they've not been the same team since that. So, a lot of what he was doing also aided Chicho Arango. Mm-hmm. Arango hasn't been the same player since Gomez left. So, they're struggling right now, and the teams that are rising are, Colorado. And I will again, or not again, but I will say that I think Chris Armas should be in serious contention for Coach of the Year.
Ding, ding,
Yep.
ding.
And I know he won't because Tata Martino will win it because, I don't know.
Well, but I think that Chris Armas should at least be invited to sit in the front row of the New York Athletic Club at the end of the day.
I think it's the definition of what a Coach of the Year is, right?
Yeah.
Like, are you the coach of the best team? Is that difficult?
Well,
hey Suarez, hey Messi, hey Busquets, hey Alba.
Yeah, so basically it's like the MVP voting, basically, where Tata Martino did what he was supposed to do with the resources he had on hand, where Chris Armas was given resources, and for the first time in known history, Kroenke Sports and Entertainment actually decided to invest, and they brought and actually spent money in bringing in Georgi Mihailovic. They trusted Chris Armas with the style of play. Yeah. Do your thing, we'll leave you alone, and you see the results.
And the year-to-year difference in points, I think, with a new coach at the helm, I think should, to me, that's more about Coach of the Year than anything else. But
it feels very NBA-ish to be, where you have like the darling market that is going to get all of the eyeballs and all of the awards, all the accolades. And meanwhile, you have like Denver, you have Denver or OKC or somebody else who, because they're not, the major primetime market eyeball catcher, they're just going to go under the radar and, kind of be ignored for awards and things like that. To me, Armas should be clear manager of the year. However, when you have essentially an unlimited ATM at your disposal and you can bring in Messi and co, then you're going to get that sort of NBA treatment.
And in that sense too, Nick, right? Tata is like an NBA coach because he's just managing these big personalities, right?
He's Pat Riley. Yeah. He is, in fact, Pat Riley, and he's not. You just hope that if you're the Moss brothers, that he doesn't turn into Paul Westhead. All right. So, what are your weekend plans, Dylan? What are you?
Weekend. We got games tonight.
Damn, son. What are your midweek plans? What are you up to tonight as you get ready for everything?
Yeah, on the desk tonight. Some good ones. Obviously eyeballs again on Miami, as they always are, right? Like Tata has said that Messi is available for both this match and for the game up in the Bronx on Saturday afternoon. So that should be fun. Houston, Vancouver, I think is a good one tonight, right? Although Herrera's out with a hamstring, and hamstrings are tricky. Like, this is not a good time for. He was already sidelined with the knee at the start of the year, and now to have Ache out with a hamstring, usually those are like at least a month, right? So that is tough for a team like Houston that's been playing some really good soccer as well. So tough one for him. But yeah, listen, and then Portland, LA. I don't know. Listen, John, you love the juice boxes. I don't know what that one says about the over, but I would take it. These are two of the three, or I should say the two highest scoring teams not called Miami in MLS. 1 goal difference between these two teams. They score goals. It's MLS after dark. Perfect scenario for like a 6-5 banger.
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily love the juice boxes, but I understand their place, and that's why we talk about them as much as we do. Over under 4, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal and the Composite. Over under of 4 is a plus 122. 4.5 is a plus 169. And then obviously it goes up from there. To your 11-goal banger, over under of 9.5 is at plus 5,000 to go from there. So that's what you're staring at least with that particular matchup. So no, I do not have juice boxes to spend. Therefore, I don't spend them because I don't have them. I just understand the place that the juice boxes are when it comes to folks in their day-to-day enjoyment of their particular franchises and leagues.
Yeah, that's an over. That's an over match.
So take the over starting at 4.5. You should be good. Dylan, as always, my friend, thanks for dropping by. We will catch up with you again when your world calms down. Oh, Varsity Media, what's going on?
No, it's good. Rare weekend off, so it's all MLS all the time this weekend.
There you go. All right, all MLS all the time. Oh, what's the mug, by the way?
Little goldfish. Sorry. There you go.
There you go. Be a goldfish. Enjoy your cup of coffee, and be the number one dad. We'll catch up with you soon, my friend.
All right, guys.
All right, that's Dylan. I forgot to talk to Dylan about the MI6 engaging in investigations of the PIF when it came to Newcastle. When Martin Ziegler at the Times has that as a byline, Nick, that's not necessarily a good thing. Yeah.
Look, the money's too dumb.
Yeah.
The money's too dumb.
Yes.
And people are going to have to become savvy and educated consumers, which I don't have a ton of faith in, but they're going to have to make some choices on the product they wish to invest in.
Yes. One thing that I definitely wanted to get into the discussion with you about is I know the answer why, but why are folks firing managers after 4 matches in Serie A?
Money. That's it. It's scared money. So you have Roma, who fired Daniele De Rossi. They said the results weren't there.
It's 4. You're 10% into your schedule.
Yeah. But what's happening is they're looking up at a table and they're saying, if we are not in the top 4 or 5 and we're not getting Champions League, that sweet, sweet Champions League revenue is not coming in to fill the coffers, and that puts us at risk. Mm-hmm. And you have American business mentality that says that, we have to generate X in order to be considered successful, right? And that's fine. That's business. Mm-hmm. But there's a difference between allowing a club legend to work and gain some sort of traction and to turn things around versus saying, okay, we're going to make a swift change here because we're just trying to ensure a certain placement in the table. Roma gets what they deserve now. So, that's one of the great backhanded statements of our time is have the day you deserve. Mm-hmm. So, that's what Roma needs to be getting right now, because they're talking about bringing in Ivan Juric now, the former manager of Torino. You're telling me that you're going to have radical, wild success with Ivan Juric? It's the same mentality up in Milan where they said, oh yeah, Paulo Fonseca is going to be the guy who's going to make us exciting and fun. Milan's a mess. Roma's a mess. Because you have these ownership groups that, they're engaging in this Moneyball BS, and they're saying, well, we have to generate X revenue or else we're going to be in trouble. Okay, great. Fire the manager, bring in someone else. Maybe that gets the results. Have the day you deserve.
I had to ask about that, considering that we saw that and that kind of lit up our page as we go. Juice boxes over the top when it comes to the midweek whip around right now. And I sit there and I look at all the 730s and there's 4 of them, which means that they're 740s. And I'm going, hey, Atlanta United's first on the list. They're the alphabetical highest home team, moron. Atlanta United right now, plus 142 in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. Draws a plus 294, and Inter Miami Messi and Friends is a plus 161. Jarrett, what do you think?
Usually, the rule is first of all, the rule has never been on MLS.
True.
First of all, that's the rule. First of all,
yes, that is.
With this though, Atlanta's so weird and so unpredictable and inconsistent. If you are going to ignore rule number 1, rule number 2 is don't ignore rule number 1. Rule number 3 is clearly you're not going to listen to me, and a fool and his money are soon parted. If you got a home dog, you take them. I don't know how to deal with this because we've seen very, very, very many variations of what Atlanta United can be.
Yeah.
The thing that annoys me the most about this team, when you get performances like Saturday, is that they've shown you they can be better. It wouldn't be as disappointing had they not shown you that they are better than what they showed you against Nashville. Because if someone has lit a fire under their ass, or if they are feeling any sort of way after getting embarrassed by Nashville, not just on the scoreboard, but also in terms of like Sam Surridge trucking one of your guys and you didn't do shit about it.
Yeah.
By all accounts, you should come out here ready to throw hands tonight. And in that case, I might be tempted to, I don't know, man, what time of year? We're almost to October. It's almost spooky season. Let's go Halloween candy on this.
Wow.
Let's break out the Halloween candy. What do I get? Like a Crunch Bar. Something that I don't mind, but I can live without. I'm putting a Crunch Bar on Atlanta.
Ooh.
Just because this team is unpredictable, inconsistent, and untrustworthy right now. But we've seen what they can do.
And then we got to keep an eye on that. Alex, as one of our de facto producers here, is letting us know about Guillermo Rivera and conversations out of Chicago. And it appears that the Chicago Fire are close to naming a new manager. That new manager might be Greg Berhalter. Rivera says, not done yet. Fire been in discussions with Berhalter for several weeks, would have complete control of soccer operations, but Joe Mansueto, the owner, would like to keep some of the technical staff on board. A technical director / GM or similar title would work under him. It is a waiting game now, according to Guillermo Rivera. So it would be Berhalter as Vermes is what we're looking at here. So
that's terrifying.
Possibly, where you have Berhalter, head coach, CSO, basically he's, Berhalter equals Vermes in Chicago would be how it would look.
Yeah.
Nick is uncomfortable instantly.
I question giving Berhalter that much power. And I have no, I think Berhalter is a fine person.
He's fine.
Yeah. He's a good person. Most of the people who interact with him seem to find him, kind and personable. I have major issues with why, from an offensive perspective, his teams go from, they have like brief flashes of attacking capability and then go to like Honda Accord stuck in the mud. Like there doesn't seem to be any sort of him getting out of his own way from that perspective. And if you're giving that guy all the control, good luck.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I don't know how that's really going to work for you, but okay.
I feel the same way in the technical director side. I don't know how I feel about giving him that kind of control. If you have a team like Chicago, though, in Atlanta, you're not too far off this. So don't get too side-eyed on me. Where Chicago needs not just a change in leadership on the field, but you kind of need an injection of culture.
Mm-hmm.
I think Greg can be that guy on the field side of it. Don't know what he's going to do on the technical side. I will always go back to those Columbus teams where Precourt was not spending and Greg was still getting them to the playoffs despite Anthony Precourt trying to actively sabotage that club to get them moved. They played well, overachieved at times, and it seemed stable on the inside. Chicago can benefit from that.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And good for Greg if that's the case. I wasn't sure after coaching the U.S. national team if he would want to break from everything or if he was one of those guys who just needed to jump back into the fray. I don't hate it for Chicago on the field side of it. The technical side feels like we are staring into a dark jungle, and I don't know what's on the other side of that tree line. We'll find out.
And you don't know
really,
whether...
Can it be any more dysfunctional than what Chicago already has been?
True.
Yeah. Look, here's a question that I'm going to have is what has Greg Berhalter learned from his time with the national team?
That's the interview number one.
Yeah. I mean, because you have to, any manager who gets fired for, he was, I hesitate on saying this because what U.S. men's national team fans define as success and what a lot of other national teams define as success are two very different things, right? The Gold Cup is the Gold Cup. The U.S. cannot help the competition that is in CONCACAF. They just can't. You can help being usurped by Canada, a broke federation. And that happened if you talk about Berhalter winning Gold Cups, I mean, you could talk about the United States, getting usurped by Canada.
So who are they usurped by, Nick?
Canada.
Thank you.
That happened on his watch too. The U.S., sputtering in Copa America, that happened on his watch too. And that's against, larger competition, the World Cup. All the mess that happened with that. I would like to know, Greg, what have we learned through this whole thing? Like, cue the Full House music. I learned something.
Don't bring in Arena.
Yes, don't bring in Arena.
No. Just, you know what? I don't think you have to worry about Gio Reyna signing for the Chicago Fire.
Yeah.
I don't think so. But like if you look at Greg's career, there have been teams that have fired him because his teams generated no attacking capability whatsoever. Greg, have we learned how to become more attacking within the confines of your system? Well, I think that, my system's
wrong
and it worked. Nope, you're out.
That's where John McLaughlin comes into play. Wrong.
All here is, yes, I've worked that out. I've got to be a little more, a little more dangerous. I got to, embrace risk a little more.
This is your interview with the parole board, man.
Yeah, we're going forward now. We're going forward.
Have you reformed? What have you learned? This is you in front of the parole board, man.
Yes. But look, here's the thing. Chicago is ahead of Atlanta right now on the rebuild, if this is accurate. Greg Berhalter was a name that was out there.
Mm-hmm.
He's off the board. So, who is going to be the name that is now kicked around? Is it still Patrick Vieira, the name that has been kicked around on the rumor mill? Atlanta has. Hey, I'm fine with Gio. But I want to see this. Atlanta is needing a technical director. They are needing a head coach. They need 2 DPs, and they need to win the trust and excitement of the fan base back. I don't think any of what I just said is out of bounds. And Jarrett, when Sturridge cleared out that member of the Five Stripes, were there any yellow cards for Atlanta United handed out after that?
No, and Nick, I was on the field when it happened because I was supposed to interview Rob after the game, and then Rob took off down the tunnel to go yell at everybody. And I wonder if I hope that was part of it. Because when we saw it happen on the field level, Rob snapped. Goose went to the referee, which is about all he can do, and it's the rugby thing to be the captain and go politic it,
right? Which
is fine, but yeah, I did this manifesto Monday, Nick, that like it still bothers me 4 days on that nobody put a hip into Sturridge, and if Sturridge is down on the field, let's say he's down on the field, that nobody put a hip into Walker Zimmerman or Hani Mukhtar, who's wearing the armband for that team.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting absolutely beaten down in your own building in a rivalry game.
Yep.
Getting blanked against a team that is dead in the water.
Yes.
And then they take what amounts to a cheap shot.
on your guy and you don't do anything.
That to me is
I'm not saying you had to go get sent off or that you had to like try and hurt him.
You didn't have to go Darren McCarty on his ass.
But the fact that nobody stepped to him or stepped to anyone on Nashville and created a mass confrontation with, look, you are showing people, whether or not it's true or not, when you do that, when you don't step like that, you are showing them you're soft.
Yeah.
Your
100%
says
100%
so much.
100%. Because you have to show, like, you have to show that you have fight. Like, you have to show that you have fight. And even if you're not going to win the day, at least let the other team know they've been in a fight.
Win the moment.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you are going to lose a fight, at least claim the other person's teeth in the process. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to lose,
get some blood on your knuckles.
Yeah, the quote Denzel Washington, I'm leaving with something. Leave with something. And I think that's part of the issue and when I talk about that trust thermocline, do you think Jeff Larenowitz would have let that slide in the past?
Oh,
Jeff Larenowitz would have been like breaking somebody, getting the yellow card, shoving somebody's face into the turf. Where is that?
He wasn't on the field, and I worry he might have taken it a step too far. But I worry if Efrain Morales had been on the field. Look, I know most people they've seen a couple games of Efrain play. The boy's got common ball in his blood, and he's got common ball blood on his hands from coming up through Bolivia's setup. He's got that edge in him that I would have liked in that moment. I'm not saying I want him to go get a red card, but I think he'd have stepped to somebody. And you needed that.
Yeah.
You need that. And Rob talked about this after the game of, you have Brad, you have Dax, who are veterans, who have leadership. But one of the perils of having a young team is you don't have leaders all the time on the field. And you have to develop that. And you can guide people, but guys have got to want it. They got to want that smoke and leadership. I would hope that is that I would hope that moment Saturday night becomes a touchstone for a couple guys of, well, somebody's got to step up, and if no one else is going to do it, I will.
Yeah, I think you have to have that, and this is what's happening now is a relationship, and it gets, and I know I'm the person who has always said nostalgia is the last bastion for a person with no hope, right? If you have no hope in the future, all you have is nostalgia.
Back in the good old days.
And, when you look at social media, I remember a time when oftentimes you saw players out together in town. You saw fans meeting players out in the street, smiling faces. I don't see any of that anymore. Like, none of it. And to me, I don't know if that's players are just, not, or, fans aren't just randomly bumping into players anymore or anything like that, or the players are just more low key about where they go and what they do. That's fine. I don't see any of that. I don't see, there was a time when you had players that on the field, if somebody got out of line with one of your stars, they were eating the turf. You had some people with razor blades in the cheeks who were ready to go to work. And I don't see that anymore. I see a collection of players. I don't think there's anyone who laces their cleats up professionally who's okay with losing. I don't.
Nope.
I don't think it's possible to be a professional and be okay with losing. So if there's anyone out there who says Nick says that the players are okay with losing, no, I don't. But what I do believe is that there are some folks who are like, okay, I'm just going to stay in my lane. I'm just going to kind of do my thing and do my business and go about it. And that to me is, if you're not winning, you've got to show that there's fight at some level. You got to show that there's a relationship there at some level. And if you don't, people will check out. And people on the field will check out. People in the stands will check out. And I find it hard to stay engaged when you have something like that where Smarmy Sturridge is bucking your own dudes around.
Everybody tablets over here, Jesus Christ.
I have to remember that one.
I'm just saying, and he's bucking your own players around in your house. And you can't ask McCarty to do anything about it because that's his old team and he's on the way out. So, but there needed to be somebody on that team who said, I don't care, if I like you, if I hate you, if you're wearing the same shirt as me and somebody comes and tries to pee on my carpet, brother, we fighting. And that's it. If somebody comes in and says, I spit in your house, we're fighting. And even if you do it to somebody I don't like, we're still fighting because he's wearing the same shirt as me. And I need to see something before we get a technical director, before we get a coach, before we get DPs. A basic fundamental thing I need to see is people on the field in the starting 11 who have a little bit of piss and vinegar in their blood and are willing to fight. Just show me you're willing to fight. I'll eat a red card and a horrible loss if my team is at least showing fight. Right? If you're showing fight, I got no problems. Yep, cool. We're not a very good team right now. They're scrappy as hell. I'll take scrappy. Like if we got to, Jason, I'm sorry. If we got to go Philly and we got to play knife fight in a phone booth, at least show me you're willing to do it. I think that's half of why Rob was so mad in his press conference. He's like, what? I mean, come on, man.
Where's the fight, basically?
Yeah, it's not even where's the fight. It's where's your heart.
Yeah.
Where's your heart? Don't tell me you do exceptional on a beep test. Don't tell me that you do really well in a practice scenario. When you have Sturridge, a C-list attacker coming over here, and then like doing like the Irish jig and kicking Guzan's water bottle up toward the supporter section, man, you better clear him out. Where's the heart? I mean, anybody who wants to DM me or anything or be mad.
You've never been shy.
I make it easy to find me.
Mm-hmm.
It is my real last name on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm easy to find. To me, show heart. And I'm not saying you got to be cheap. Sometimes it's okay. But you better be petty.
Sometimes you got to be Serie B.
Sometimes you got to be Serie B. Sometimes you got to be Serie B, Serie C.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Serie C is not for the faint of heart, y'all.
It is not. Good Lord, it is not.
Nah. Make sure you got some blood bags on the sideline.
Yes, indeed. When people were saying fire Carlos, Carlos had a run of injuries that were damn near unprecedented.
Yeah.
In this league, he had to make really throw caution to the wind signings to be remotely competitive. A lot of teams would have said, yep, we're eating last place. Right. But I don't think Carlos ever recovered from that period. Right. Because the contracts took so long to get out from underneath that, and the results were not there, that you had to do what you had to do. But in the meantime, some of these players have just decided, yeah, okay, all right. I'm going to be calm, cool, professional. I'll do my job. I don't know, man. It seems like we got a bunch of mid-level managers, like supervisors, checking metrics. I don't know. I need to see some fight. And just like I have a remote to change the channel at home, if there's a TV show that gets boring, there's a way for me to not show up to games. There's a way for me not to watch on TV. There's other things for me to be doing. And that is the nature of sports. It is entertainment. It is diversion. That's what sports are. It's entertainment. It's diversion. Unless it's SEC football and then this life, but
Yes,
that's culture, buddy.
And Cal football now apparently. Invade Twitter.
Cal. No one was prepared for Cal football to be that online.
No, we were not.
So it looks like it's 2 contracts. Goose and Quentin Westberg are up at the end of this season.
Yeah, there are 9 that have end dates, but there are options and other decisions.
Yeah.
Team to first,
and,
kind of a thing.
And look, if it comes down to it, and you are to bring back the slogan from this first radio station that let me tag along for remotes. If you're not part of the project, you're part of the problem.
Yep.
You can find homes for guys if you have to. Because the thing is, for me, what we saw in the lack of fight in that, I think at the same time, it is a team, it is a talented roster. When you look at the roster, I see guys who have talent. Baranchuk can play.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still of the belief that if you get a DP left winger and a DP 9, and if Saba's your 4th attacking option, I think Saba is an absolute monster in that role.
A guy, not the guy for Saba.
Yes. More of the Joe Johnson kind of guy, where if you ask him to be the guy, he's going to give you those games, like the Miami game. But I think he is at his best, or more a Chris Bosh, at his best when being the accompanying piece and helping carry load and benefiting from others who are drawing attention, where he can thrive as, the third option with the ball. I think there's talent there on this roster. But, somebody's got to come in, throw some dirt in the soup, and you got to find that you got to find the grit somewhere. And the trick is, and we talk about this in college football to keep belaboring the analogies, is the Greg Berhalter thing. There's a difference between winning the games and winning the press conference. Greg can go out there and win the press conference for Chicago. I don't think it's a bad get for Chicago at all, and I think it can work for them. They need to see it. They need to see change. It's not just about coming out there and winning the press conference if you're Atlanta. When you get a technical director, whoever your manager might be, I would be tickled if DeRossi gets an interview now just to see what Nick does.
Hey, you wouldn't have to worry about those boys fighting. I can tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
No, you would not. Because if they didn't, he might square up with them on the field.
It's like the manager's getting a red card for punching his own player.
Just like another Italian manager that we've talked about in the past.
Oh, yes. Get my boy Gattuso in here. Get my large brother Gattuso in. Stabbing dudes with a fork.
Oh man, I mean, something like this.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Like that. That's what you're hunting for. We already hit the explicit rating, so I had no problem running that at the end of the show.
Yeah, I just want look. I am a season ticket holder. I want you. You cannot put a shirt on that says Atlanta and expect people to show up. You have to have fight. I mean, right now it feels to me like the Falcons with Desmond Ridder. There's some dudes out there, like it's a pretty talented roster outside of a few areas, but nothing's working.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm just saying, like you got to give me something, man. You can give me steak with no sizzle, okay? You know, if there's sizzle and no steak, that may be a little tougher to deal with. But if you bring nothing but romaine lettuce on my plate and tell me it's a 5-star meal, I'm going to start questioning things. So,
let's see, 12, 31, 24. Okay, so we know what's going on with Atlanta.
Also, Woj retired to go run Bonaventure's NIL.
Oh, wow. That's random.
The last Woj bomb.
Yeah.
He's retiring from media. He's going to go be the general manager for St. Bonaventure and basically run their NIL program.
Hey.
Because his days weren't. I get, man, Shams made his ass quit.
Yeah, well,
also, I think Shams' contract is up, so I think he's a free agent.
Yeah, you better sign Shams now. That's what you got to do. So, all right. So with that particular
yeah, and because John's putting that there, just so y'all can read it.
Yeah.
Not everyone qualifies for free agent status. Remember, free agent status in MLS is dumb.
Yes.
It's very weird.
Yes.
It has very specific qualifications.
Yes.
Yes.
So those are the 9 names who have current contracts that end. We are not discussing option years or anything like that. Current contracts that end New Year's Eve day. That's what you're looking at there. New Year's Eve midnight. That's when those 9 contracts technically end. I'm not talking option years or anything like that, but current contracts that have options that could be exercised. So there's that. Before we get out of here, other games, and so if there's any other game that you guys want to talk about, broadcast plan 6:30, 92.9 The Game in the Odyssey app. It is the pregame show, and then it's Mike and Jason, 7:40 kick, and then it is a full hour of the full-time report after the fact. Atlanta United, Inter Miami. Atlanta United is swung heavy favorite now to a plus 127. Inter Miami is a plus 179. That was a lot closer when we started this morning. It is not now. If there is a particular game you guys want to talk about, you just go ahead and yell it out and yell stop, and we'll talk about it. We're going to do cliffhanger to wrap up the show.
Well, let's just stop right there with Atlanta and Miami with that line swinging so heavily. That's what one betting on MLS as the right good gentleman Jarrett Smith has said is an act of folly, to put it in the most genteel way possible. Somebody knows something.
Yes.
Somebody knows if that line swung like that, somebody knows something.
Somebody might warm up on the sideline and get a round of applause, but somebody might not see minutes or might see very limited minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, somebody knows something. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Revs minus 137 hosting CF Montreal at a plus 336. NYC minus 139 hosting the Union at plus 328. Toronto FC plus 243 at home against Crew. Crew are a plus 102 and your draw is a plus 271. 8:15 on FS1 and the free side of Apple TV. Purple Team hosting Charlotte. Purple Team minus 139. Charlotte a plus 353 on the road. 8:30, which means 8:40 Eastern time. Houston minus 132 favored against Vancouver at a plus 326. Loons plus 136 hosting FC Cincinnati at a plus 189. Draw is a plus 256. Nashville is a minus 127 hosting Chicago at a plus 313. Draws a plus 296. Sporting plus 119 hosting Colorado at a plus 195. Draws a plus 286. RSL minus 141 hosting FC Dallas at a plus 351. Drawings came out after the city council meeting in the environs of FC Dallas's Toyota Stadium. They're going to have the biggest soccer-specific stadium matrix board, 6,000 square feet in the new drawings, as the city allowed for a 9-figure investment toward renovations at Toyota. Dallas is a plus 351. 10:40, LAFC hosting Austin at a minus 278. Draws a plus 424. Austin's north of plus 680. Portland hosting LAG. Dylan likes the over in this one. Portland a plus 112. Galaxy a plus 198. Draws a plus 307. Seattle.
You need that 198.
Yeah, no doubt. And
somehow we have entered a wormhole where the LA Galaxy are like not respected as much as they should be across the board. I don't know, man. It's been too many years since they were a dominant team. I get it, but like they were down 2-0 to LAFC. They parked their bike, took the chain off the bike, and beat LAFC until they quit moving.
Yes. And so you have LAG almost at a plus 200 on the road going to Portland. Your draws a plus 307. Dylan likes the over. Seattle hosting San Jose at a minus 294. Draws a plus 450. San Jose is a plus 692.
Ding, ding, buddy.
Yeah.
Seattle's too weird.
Major League
Sorry,
Soccer,
Nico. Hope you're well.
Yes. Major League Soccer has posted the club roster profiles of each of the clubs in Major League Soccer. So if you're looking for requested reading, maybe this is something that you take a peek at, courtesy of our friends at the communications segment at Major League Soccer. And it is in a document that you can click all the way through, and you can check and see what this is after the roster freeze of September 13. So as of September 17, roster freeze September 13. And they go through all of the explanations. And you have TAM players for Atlanta United. Abram, Gregerson, remember that flipped, where you have Bart now as the DP for the remainder of this roster year only. They flip it, and it gives them more money to invest next year, going into next year, by flipping Gregerson's status and Bart's status. Now Stian is the TAM, Bart is your DP. Franco Ibarra is still listed as a U22. Brooks is a TAM. Saba's a TAM. AM59 is a DP. Mosqueda is a U22. William Ba is a TAM. Shonde's a TAM. Bart's now the DP. Sosa unavailable on loan on the U22. Jamal is a TAM. You have 7 homegrowns on from the supplemental roster. Luke, Noah, Matt, Jay, Ephra, Aiden Torres, Tyler Wolf. Eric Centeno is a Generation Adidas signing for a supplemental roster spot 31, but obviously since he's on loan to the twos, he is not attached to the Atlanta United roster on the whole. International slots, Atlanta has one available. International slots are Luis, Pedro, Gregerson, Saba, AM59, Muyumba, Shonde, Bart, and Jamal. Your DPs currently, Miranchuk and Bart Sleesh. U2 initiatives, Franco, Edwin, Santi, and a fourth is wide open. And your unavailables, obviously, because of being loaned out, Ibarra and Sosa and Centeno is being loaned out to the twos. And so you can catch up with your favorite team, check your roster profiles. It is available, and it is posted at document click-throughs at MLSsoccer.com. Now, if you would only do the same thing for the salary cap.
No, we don't do that here.
I know. I just figured I would yell about it. Nick, last thoughts before we get out of here.
There's this, I don't know if you talked about it already, the Five Stripes Unplugged, the exclusive program that provides members with unparalleled access to the personal stories and insights that help define Atlanta United. The conversations are led by member-submitted questions that dictate the content and these exclusive interviews with the team's front office, players, and coaches. Please join us October 1st at 6 p.m. for an exclusive chat with President and CEO Garth Lagerway. I will be submitting. I received this in my inbox because, again, season ticket holder and founding member. But I'm going to ask him, and quite plainly, what are you going to do to make me believe in this team again? And again, because I don't currently. And I need to know why, as a savvy consumer, I should continue to put forward money to the team, because I think that is a common question that a lot of people, not all, a lot of people are asking. And I think it is fair to ask. And I will be asking that question on my own behalf, not representative of the SDH network, not representative of anybody else.
But season ticket holder.
As a season ticket holder.
Right.
Why I should continue to be a season ticket holder outside of a discount with merch and first dib access, second dib access, because the the seat owners for the Falcons, I think, get first ultra priority. We're like business class boarding on that particular thing. But I'm going to ask why we should continue to believe. In the meantime, if the team would like to help answer that question for me, by all means, please do so by when one of your players gets trucked, show up for your teammate and help fight for them. Basic thing. I don't have to win by 4 goals. Just show me something. We're in Missouri mode right now. This is officially now the show me city.
Mm-hmm. I like that. It is and better than all caps. So Nick has that. Jarrett, last thoughts before we get out of here.
I'm going to give a real quick hit because Unc mentioned, about the guys possibly kicking cans down the road. So let's look at those real quick. Brad, if you can bring it back for a lower number, sure. I don't know if Brad's done or not. I don't know how Brad feels. We'll get a better idea closer, I think, to the end of the season and in the off season if he wants to just go home and be a family man like he's in Street Fighter 2. Dax, I think, is done. I think he said he's done unless he wins an MLS Cup. He promised Sabic he'd come back for one more year if they win the Cup. Jamal and Rios, you're keeping one of them. I don't know which one. Jamal would be easier because you wouldn't have to pay a fee. Rios, though, absolutely betting on himself, is going to get to go somewhere and play. And I'm very happy for him because he's pretty chill. He's also very cocky, but he's outperformed his contract and you brought him here. I think you're keeping one of them. I think Jamal's easier to keep. He's a backup striker. Ronald, I don't know. I'd love Ronald to stay, but I'm still wondering.
Check the piece on the website about Ronald.
Yeah, check the piece on the website about Ronald. He's a fascinating listen. He's a good dude. Mm-hmm. Then you have Nick. I don't know if there's room for Nick just because of the way he plays. It's so weird. Tyler, I don't think stays. Ephra and Jay, I would love to stay, but they're out of homegrown range, so now you'd have to use a supplemental spot for them. I would love them both. I would be very disappointed, I think more so if Jay was gone.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay. All right. So once again, 6:30, 92.9 the game of the Odyssey app. Full house, like upper deck and everything available. So if you don't have tickets, you want to go, see if you can get tickets and go. It was listed as a sellout.
Can I give you my final thing? I promise.
Yeah,
can I give you my really weird prediction for the offseason?
Go for it.
They shell out for a bigger left back, and Amador becomes more of a backup utility back.
Okay.
I like Amador, but with all the money you have and with the changes the salary structure,
right?
And you're clearing out some salary, that would be my kind of off the wall move. Is you go get a bigger name and a more explosive left back, and Amador kind of slides into that Ronald role if Ronald leaves.
Right. So it'll be a full house tonight, listed as a sellout, but we'll see about that. And looking forward to seeing everybody tonight as we get ready for the Gulfstream Galacticos and Messi and Friends and Tata and Homecomings and all that kind of stuff. But 6:30 on the Odyssey app, 92.9 the game with your pregame. Mike and Jason with the call, 740 kick, and everything else that's going on over there. So I'll keep an eye on all that stuff. But once again, thanks as always to all of you for hanging out with us here on a Wednesday because it's a wall pass. And there you go. We'll see from there what's going on with Atlanta United and with Messi and Friends. So once again, be there, be square. We'll see you. And love all you guys. Thanks to Dylan, and thanks to Tyler for hanging out with us. And don't forget, go to Signia and see them, and we'll make sure that you go say hi to them because apparently the menu and the drinking is pretty top notch. So for all of us here, to all of you there, thanks for dropping by. We'll see you tonight. We'll come back here for Reaction Thursday for life in 3 games in a week. So we'll see what happens, and we'll rock and roll from there. So for everybody here, to all of you guys, see you tonight. See you back here in a little less than 22. Nick, if you would please, sir, send us home.
Till next time, everybody, just remember this is all for entertainment. Love you guys.
What he said.